it's worth doing well. And if it's not worth doing well, it's not worth doing at all. I think there are a lot of examples we could look at around here, and a lot of us have been instructed on exactly the right way to do things, like plant a plant. But take a look, for example, at the plant labels around here. Those are created by George. He sets a high standard, and those are done to the equal of any public garden anywhere in the country. George is practical and hands-on. And he's not just behind the scenes driving what's going on here. He's out here, as I think it was Edie said, with boots on the ground. And I think sometimes he's not as happy, in a meeting as he would be if he were out driving a backhoe or planting a tree. In fact, I'm pretty sure of that. And the garden wouldn't be here without not just all the work that was done in the background, but the physical work that George has put into this garden. George is patient. Developing a public garden from an undeveloped 82-acre forest with no money takes patience. Standing here today, it's pretty easy to forget that when this started, there was no entrance road. It was basically a forest. As recently as 4 years ago, there was no running water here. There were no utilities. As recently as 2 years ago, we didn't have electricity. So I think for myself and many of us, George had a plan. It was a plan that was going to take a long time and a lot of patience to develop. And I can remember many times as I was chomping at the bit to say, when are we going to put in some more gardens? George would always say, no, we have to do this first and then that first, and we'll get to the gardens eventually. Well, finally, we've gotten there. George is dedicated. In addition to everything he was doing and leading the organization as the executive director, at the same time, he was also doing the physical work in the garden. And I think in the recent years took on the leadership of three important and very difficult projects. First one in 2012 was the installation of the utilities down here, which, as I mentioned, were critical in getting water, electricity, gas to the garden. That project started, if I remember correctly, around Thanksgiving of 2012, and continued through the winter. George out here every day, freezing cold, supervising that crew. Almost immediately after that, we moved into the MUB doing the breach of the Tibbs Run Dam over here. Another huge project that George had to manage in addition to those duties. And then right on the heels of that, we moved into the Welcome Center project, which, while there was certainly a committee led by Linda and many others helping out, George had a huge role in managing the contractor constructing that project. So it takes a lot of dedication to put in the hours and the time and the physical effort required to make all those things a success. And George had that dedication. We appreciate, George, that you sacrificed a lot to get all that done. And Carol, that you put up with it.